Hello everyone, welcome to Sriram's. Myself Shivashankari Alesh Shiva Ignatius. So we are meeting after a long gap. As we all know, we were doing the crash course for ethics. So we are doing both question session as well as the case studies. So this session is case study related, and this is our part 3 session. Okay, so yes, we will begin the session like with first case study, right? So we'll be doing the case study one by one. The first case study is, let me read it for you. A clinical social worker has been treating a 25-year-old man for depression and anxiety. In the fourth session, the client reveals that he is in a committed monogamous relationship with a guy and that he has not come out to his family. He states that he has been involved in this relationship for long term and is contemplating marriage. He is seeking counseling around this issue. The social worker belongs to a faith tradition that believes that homosexuality is a sin and whose leaders have been prominent in opposing same sex marriage. Social worker, who had up to this point believed that treatment was going well, is concerned that his own religiously based objections to homosexuality will interfere with his ability to provide unbiased mental health services. The social worker contemplates informing the client that he will have to transfer him to another therapist. So this is a case, and now the questions are like this. List out the ethical dilemma in the above case. Okay, so first they are asking what are the ethical dilemmas you are facing in the above case. In what ways role morality evident or not evident in the above case? Okay, so they're asking a question like this. Note this question. Do you think that role morality would be ethically permissible in this situation? Why or why not? This is the third question. Do you think mental health providers should be able to decline to provide services to individuals whose lifestyle they find morally wrong? Should clinicians have the freedom to select who they wish to treat on the basis of their own values or beliefs? Why or why not? See, actually, students, there was a question. It was not this much complicated, but then this pattern was there. Why not pattern was already has appeared in your UPSC exam twice, and it was related to some connection with the theoretical. The question has appeared in that manner. Okay, so when we are solving those types of questions, and nowadays we are finding there are supplementations, so if you take a case study, there was not one question, there were many questions involved in the case study, right? So if that's the case, then we can make a question in such a manner that connecting that why not also, and so many questions as multiple questions appearing from a same case study. If it happens, then how it will be. Okay, in that model we have made this question. So we'll go back to the question. I hope my voice is audible and all of you hear it. If there is any problem, please let me know. Okay, fine. So let us read the case again. So it's a very small case study only, and it's totally a different thing where I want to introduce a particular term. Then I have to fix a question in this case. Okay, so this is made in this pattern. So what's the question saying here? A clinical social worker is there, and he's treating a man. Okay, he's a 25-year-old man, so and so, for depression and anxiety. He has approached this person, so he's taking counseling from him. And after sitting for 4 sessions, the client, that is that man, reveals that he is in a relationship with a guy, okay, that means another man, okay, and that he has not yet come out to his family, has not revealed this to his home because he know that his family, that means his family is not in that mentality to accept or something, so he's not able to reveal that. He states that he has been involved in this relationship for longer term and is contemplating the marriage. So he was there. He's having a committed relationship with this man. So he is seeking counseling around this issue. Now, the social worker belongs to a faith tradition. Now comes to the social worker. This is about that man and his relationship, why he came for a session with this clear social worker. Okay, so the case is related to that. Now, the social worker, they are describing a worker. The social worker belongs to a faith tradition that believes that homosexuality is a sin. Okay, so his religion says that homosexuality is totally sinful activity. Okay, and who leaders have been prominent in opposing same-sex marriage. Okay, right? Sorry, the social worker who had to this point believed that treatment was going well is concerned that his own religiously based objections to homosexuality will interfere with his ability to provide unbiased mental health treatment service. So statement is saying that as per his faith tradition, his religious leaders is already considering this as a sin. Okay, so then his religious beliefs and values will collide with his professional values or professional ethics. That's what it is here. Then social worker contemplate informing the client that he will have to transfer him to another therapist. He feels that okay, fine, it's better I will inform this person that I cannot continue a treatment further because there is a conflict of values which is occurring between my religious beliefs and as well as professional values. Okay, so this is how the case study is made. Now come to the question session. So list out the ethical dilemma in the above case. So how will you start this question? You can just start with the facts, the prime mover of case, the prime decision maker of this case. So you can just give a statement like that, maybe like there may be an empty space. So I can utilize that. So when you start a question like this, instead of even it's up to you, you can just start with an introduction part like related to the LGBTQ issue and so on. Okay, and otherwise, like what you can do is that you can just write the prime mover of this case or prime decision maker of this case is the social worker. Okay, so the social worker prime decision maker, and then the other stakeholders who are involved in it, like the client who is holder also of this case. Okay, but as of that, two persons who are involved is social worker and a client, right? Now, then you can mention that the facts involved in this case. What are the facts which are involved in this case? Then pick up and write. So first, only two statements, very direct, and you can write like that. One, the client is having a monogamous relationship with the guy. So that way you can mention one statement, and he's in depression. Okay, so he has approached this person for the session. The social worker. Then statement should be related to the social worker. The social worker is in conflict or in a dilemma situation. A dilemma. Okay, so it's in a conflict of interest is occurring in this case. A dilemma has occurred where his own religious belief is colluding with the professional values. Okay, so that's the thing. Second statement: a social worker is in a dilemma with respect to his religious values. Okay, religious values. Then third, he thinks to stop his session. He thinks to stop the counseling. Who? The social worker. Okay, stop the counseling. This way outright. Three. Important statement related to the abortion. Now, what are the ethical dilemmas? Now come to the question. One by one, you have to address the question. The question is like this. List out the ethical dilemmas in the above case, or ethical dilemmas which is faced in the above case. As you can see, he belongs to a profession where you cannot consider any other values or any other beliefs, your own personal interest into the field. Okay, so he is in a medical. He is from the medical, and here the persons, that is the client interest is important, and always medical field in roll around two important principles. Even you can consider it as three important principles. So keep that in mind, like beneficence, non-maleficence, okay, and informed consent. Here, in this case, we can consider these two principles, principles of beneficence and principles of non-maleficence. These are the two basic principles which rules the medical field, the ethical principles I can say. So what is beneficence and what is non-maleficence? Do any of you know? That means beneficence is something like it is talking about do good. That means do good to your patients. That is called beneficence. So when a doctor or a clinical worker is handling a patient, is handling, in this case he is a patient, the client is a patient, is handling a patient, you have to follow this principle of beneficence first. That is, you should do only good, any harm. Okay. Not only a physical abuse is called as a harm, a mental abuse is also a harm only. So, beneficence principle is saying that you have to do only good. Non-maleficence principle, the principle of non-maleficence says that do not harm your patients. That means a doctor, for his own personal interest, he should not harm the interest of the patient or the benefit of the patient, the health of the patient. Okay, so you may question here, okay, this is just a case that where the doctor did not harm the patient, but the doctor is about to inform him that he is not able to continue with the procedures. So have you note anything here at this patient that the client is not a open minded person. It's not very straightforward with everyone. He's already in a depression because he is not able to talk this openly with others, even to his parents. So that's the problem. He has approached a social worker and he has come to a counseling session. Even with a social worker who is working with him, even with the clinical worker, sorry, not social worker, clinical worker, he is not able to open up directly. After meeting three times, only in the fourth time he is able to say his problem. So that means he's not able to be a kind of extrovert person. So now, if the doctor is trying to, say that, see, I was not able to treat you, I'm going to shift you. That means so far he is able to hear this patient, even though he may give any excuse to him, any excuse to this patient. But so far he has went for three sittings. The doctor did not have any problem. But after hearing that, he is a person who's having a relationship with the same sex, then he is up to shift this case to or transfer this case to some other person. Now the client gets suspicious. No, the client gets feel that the doctor is not ready to proceed further with the treatment because he's hating this kind of person, right? So this kind of mentality will develop in him. So what kind of ethical dilemma we are facing here? So for that, first we'll ask this question: what kind of ethical dilemma we are facing? Case, see, even I have given some here. This way you have to write, address the ethical dilemma. Anything you can pick up, any two dilemmas from here. You can just say it's something related to medical ethics versus religious belief. Or you can also mention this as professional ethics. Professional ethics. Okay, professional ethics or professional values versus personal values. Personal, this is his personal value. Okay, so that might be a question, how madam you are mentioning this as personal value? This is something which is related to religious beliefs. I would have, that's why I told you case study cannot be written with by only just seeing some cases and casually writing it. It has to be connected with the theoretical part. So in the theoretical part already there is a topic called values for you. I told you the value development, how values are developed in a person. Values are individual principles. How a value of a person gets developed? He gets inputs from various sources, from the society, from his, family, that is parents, even society, that is other than the family. Okay, then close people, close relationship people, friends. Other than that, even an education institution, that is schools, colleges. From there you get a lot of values. Then the religious dogmas or the principles, the religion itself is preaching certain value systems with you. So all this will build your value. That is your personal value. So now, even though he knows very well that this is religious value, which is talking about all this kind of activity. He is a doctor, he is a social, professional clinical worker. Even though he knows it's bad, you cannot talk like that. There is still a bias which is in his mind because of the impact of the religious values. The religious values or his religious principles has taught him to make his personal value in such a way that he also believes personally that it's not good to treat this kind of person. It's not good to mingle with this kind of person. Okay, so that way his value systems has been built. So either you can write professional ethics versus personal view, or you can write professional ethics versus religious values. Okay, his religious values. It is conflicting with the religious value. Otherwise, see this objectivity versus implicit bias. Because of this religious values, which has been given to him since very young, since his child, there has been created an implicit bias in his mind. What is meant by implicit bias? See, although he's a clinical worker and he has a principle which is leading his field that he should not differentiate between patients, he should not do harm to the patients, he should only do good to the patients. Even then, there is certain kind of bias which is remaining inside him, inside, not outside. It is not reflected outside. So that will continuously get reflected when he's making a decision in his any even in his field, that is professional life or in his personal life. So that we call as implicit bias. But his profession is talking about objectivity. So you can mention that objectivity versus implicit bias, duty versus personal. Anything you can take. So you can take one this and second professional or personal, or professional versus religious value. That way you can mention. Even why I have mentioned trust versus religious value, because here the patient has trusted the doctor and has revealed everything, and now the trust, whether you are going to support the trust which is kept on you, are going to go or uphold the religious values which you believe, so for longer time. These are some of the ethical dilemmas mentioned. You have to explain. I have written only shortly here. You have to put a hyphen, then you have to mention that why you are writing this kind of ethical dilemma here. Okay, and purely it's a conflict of interest situation only. It is a conflict. It's not only ethical dilemma, it's a conflict of interest, because the doctor is always considering his personal interest. His personal interest can be not only in form of money, but it can be of anything. His own personal values, the money which he can win, or any other kind of cash, or any advantage is taken through that. Any advantage is going to, all are called as personal interest only. So you can just mention that this is a conflict, clearly a conflict of interest situation occurred. And you can also see this, I have explained that a clinical social worker maintain an objectivity in the process of assessment, diagnosis, and even treatment. So as per the code of ethics, the social work profession requires its member to act and prevent, eliminate, and discriminate against. They act to prevent and eliminate discrimination. Okay, that is the main thing. You have to underline that. So a clinical social worker should always keep this in mind. What he has to keep to prevent and eliminate discrimination against a person, group, or class on the basis of race, ethnicity, origin, that is national origin, color, sex, sexual orientation, see the age, marital status, anything it can be. You cannot differentiate between one person and another person. You cannot say, okay, I will only give treatment to these people. I don't want these people. Okay, so they don't look good. I don't want to treat them. Or they are speaking different language. I don't want to treat them. Or they belong to different country. I want to treat them. You cannot say like that. Same applies to sexual orientation also, right? So now come to this. This is the first thing. We have addressed the first question. So what is the first question about? List out the ethical dilemmas in the above case. So you can clearly mention that here there is a conflict of interest situation. I already told that conflict of interest situation, COI. All this we cannot explain here, because there is a theory in the theory part you would have studied in your classes. So conflict of interest and ethical dilemma. There are two things like that. Conflict of interest. In your theory, in your syllabus, if you go and see, you will find this word, conflict of interest. So you have to mention that, since I already told, ethical dilemma also includes conflict of interest. Okay, so conflict of interest is a part of ethical dilemma only. In this case, clearly it's a conflict of interest situation. Come to second question. In what ways is role morality evident, not evident in the above case? Explain. That's the second question. Okay. So what is role morality evident or not evident in the above case? What is role morality? Then you should know what is role morality. One in UPSC, they asked about constitutional morality. Okay. So you may think that, okay, new word may not appear. Anytime there is a possibility of asking new words which can be introduced into the subject. Role morality is often heard word only. You should know because as all of us are doing certain roles, either in our personal life or in our professional life. Okay, starting as a role of a son, daughter, or father, mother. Okay, and then even lot of relations are there. And so in the professional side, we belong to various fields. We have to have morality in the role we are playing. Okay, so what's meant by role morality? The thing is that you may think, okay, morality means what role you are performing, you have to follow ethical principles related to that role. The more, proper definition for role morality is that it's mainly seen from the negative side. It's not seen from the positive side. It's always seen from the negative side. It says that every person who is performing a particular role, okay, he tries to substantiate his actions he is performing for that role. For example, a politician, we can take a politician, okay? So, a political leader who is playing a role of a political leader. Now, his role is a political leader, right, in politics. He says that since I am a politician, I have to do so and so things. I have to, manipulate the vote banks. I have to do certain dirty jobs behind the scene because then only we can rule that. We can bring the majority rule here. And if so, then the people will benefit. Ultimately, people is going to get benefit if I come to rule. But how I come to rule? Because as a politician, I have certain role that he tries to, bring an excuse for performing that dirty jobs in his work. Yes, this is my morality. As a politician, I have a morality to do some wrongs in order to secure the position. As a businessman, a businessman says, this is my role morality because what is the main thing? What's the main core of a business? To gain profit. If I have to gain profit, then I have to do certain things. I have to compromise certain things, either compromising in the quality, or I'm adding something and not informing the people. Okay, or I am advertising in such a way that it attracts the people and pulls the crowd. This way he is giving certain excuse for his actions. What kind of actions? For negative actions, we can say. Mostly, that's why I told you, role model is often seen from the negative angle. Okay. So, that's why we have given in a single statement. See, this tendency to use different moral standards for the different roles we play in the society. So the same person when he enters a family, very good to everyone. He is loyal to others and he want others to be loyal with him. But in his business, doing the different thing. Then if people are asking him, he says that business is business. My personal life is personal life. I want my relatives, my friends, my family members to be loyal to me. But I need not be loyal and trustable to the client because that's a business. Okay, so I have to handle the business like a business only. So this is something called as role morality. So playing different ethical standards. Okay, understood about role morality. Now come to the question. In what ways is role morality evident or not evident? Whether it is shown or not shown in the above case. Okay. Come to the above case, we already have written the fact. I hope you would have written it when I am saying. So anything evident outside for us in the name of, at least in the form of role morality, has he performed different kind of actions? No such thing has been evident because he has given a compromise to himself that I'm not going to treat this patient because my personal belief is going to collude with the professional values of mine. Okay, so my personal belief says I should not treat this kind of person. That means he's very strong in his value system even in his professional job. So there is role morality. So sometimes people know they have different phases. He is a clinical social worker. When it's to clinic, He used to talk very nicely, sweetly to everyone. He never discriminate between people. When he goes to home, he discriminates. When he is in his personal space, when he goes outside with his family, or when he is in his family, when somebody comes to meet him, okay, then he shows his discrimination there because he's not in his job. That is role morality. But here, what he's saying that my personal belief is not supporting this kind of action, so I'm not going to do it. So there is no role morality end. So for that question, you have to mention yes. In this case, there is no morality evident. Okay, and you have to explain in such a way why there is no morality. As we are clearly seeing that he refused to treat this patient because own personal beliefs is not satisfying. Our own personal beliefs does not support to treat this kind of patient. Okay, his personal beliefs, religious beliefs, you can mention. That's the second question. You have to deal the second question like that. Third question, come to third question. Do you think that role morality would be equally permissible in this situation? Why or why not? So there is a bit confusing question. So what to answer? Whether we have to say yes or we have to say no. In this question, especially, we are asking from the positive angle. We are saying, though you have a discrimination, it's not good. Okay, so how you have to answer this kind of question? You can say discrimination is not allowed, even though he is in a work, even though he is in personal space, that doesn't matter. But discriminating people based on this is not permissible. It's not ethics at all. It's not morality at all. But but at least in the above case, he should have tolerated, no, he should have accepted that patient, accepted the client on the basis of his professional values. So in the jobs like a doctor, okay, a teacher and all, role morality is ethically permissible, right? We can say it is permissible. At least you have to follow professional values. Even though you're not able to change your value systems, which is inside of you, at least when you're performing the role like a doctor, the role like a teacher, the role like a positive role, we can say, you have to perform the morality which is related to that role, not from the negative angle but in the positive angle. Okay, so here in this case of a doctor, there is no negative way of seeing things, negative way of treating the patients, right? Any angle, if you can say that I am a doctor, so I have to save my life, save others life. I'm a doctor, so I have to save others life. I'm a doctor, so I have to treat everyone with benevolence and kind. I'm a doctor, so I have to support the other person in irrespective of his difference. Okay, in race, color, creed. Like this way only you can say. You cannot say I'm a doctor, so I can kill life. I'm a doctor, so I can take his life. You cannot say like that. Okay, so this is a positive way. It is reflected in a positive way. The role is reflected in a positive way only in case of a doctor, right? So this way we can say that there at least it is ethically permissible to follow morality in this case of roles which you are performing. Then come to the next question. Do you think mental health providers should be able to decline to provide services to individuals whose lifestyle they find morally wrong? So this is the same question. Sometimes it appears like this in your exam also. In a different angle, they will be asking the same question only. So here you can write that, no, I do not believe that a mental health provider is able to decline the services, because already we have mentioned here, as you know. So this is the rule, this principle which a clinical social worker has to follow. Okay, so he has to follow a kind of objectivity in process, like assessment, everything, when he is treating a patient. So here you can say that no, mental health provider will cannot decline the services to individuals, okay, who they find their lifestyles are wrong, or it doesn't matter to he cannot consider the lifestyle of others from a moral lens when he's treating patient. Okay, he cannot compare their lifestyle with his own religious beliefs or with his own personal values and he treat the patient. You have to write like that. Okay, he's not allowed to discriminate person by just analyzing their background or looking through moral lens the lifestyle of that particular persons. They cannot discriminate the patient that. Okay. Then come to the next part of this question. So should clinicians have the freedom to select who they wish to treat on the basis of their own values of same? So they cannot do it. Okay, or why not? So for that only we have said that this profession is a very important. So for this you can mention some 2-3 points. The profession itself is a profession itself in such a way that he's holding a profession which has to benefit a patient, okay, which should not do any harm to patient. The profession is something like a kind of service he is doing to the people. So in this kind of profession which is holding, is responsible for the life of the patient who comes to them. Either it can be anything which is related to physical or which is related to mental health. And in this case, what happens if the doctor refuses the treatment? The doctor refuses the treatment. That happen because if he's able to select as per his own beliefs or his own systems, what will happen next? Next, this client will not be able to go and talk to anyone freely because now he will shut all his doors. He feels that he feels insecure. Okay, I have already spoken to one person, one clinician, one social, that is one clinical social worker. He itself is not to accept it. Then what will happen to my mother and father if I go and tell this to them? They're already in a traditional mentality. How will they accept it? Even he go to extreme endness, okay, so he may end his life, he may completely hang out in mental trauma, okay, so this way, and he will be hold up in depressions and anxiety, and it will lead to mental trauma. So this kind of, and even there will be the trust in this profession will be completely eroded on from the client perspective. So he clearly knows that. That's why he's not ready to treat me. So that's how we have to mention all these things, and this as that's why only doctor's profession is also always treated with respect, and they holds highest dignity because they cannot discriminate between people. They do not discriminate on the basis of anything when they are trying to treat a patient. Okay. Right. So this case is over. So this is a general case which I tried to use for you with a different type of question. So that's something role morality and all new question which we have introduced. I hope you would have learned something from this case. We'll move to the next case study. Okay. See this. So students, after attending these sessions, you have to practice at home, no, the answer writing that particular case you have to practice. I have given a core idea for you. Any teacher can give a core idea for you. Okay, so they can say, okay, this case can be handled in this manner, this way you can present your answers. They can give idea, but you have to present your idea in such a way that it has to be in a different angle, because creativity comes from your side. Every person is creative in their own angle. They know, they come out with different ideas. So only the core can be done by the teacher. You have to do all the fittings and make the building beautiful. Okay, so that's up to you. That for that purpose only we are asking you to do answer writing session. We can guide you. We can only guide you. We cannot write answer for you. So that's not worth at all. You cannot say you're not in a small classes. You can just read it, go and vomit in your class, exams. It will never happen. Even the questions also nobody can predict it as such. Okay, so only ideas will be given to you. You have to pick it from that, and then you have to make a draft and answer so that your answer looks totally different from other students. That's what they expect also in the exam. So they don't want similar answers by all the students, right? Come to the second quick case. I already told the ethnic conflict or some conflict is going on, no? So now in the Manipur issue, you would have seen that. When you are trying to read such a kind of news, I asked you to collect information related to that. So I have already given clue for the past 2 times when we are dealing with case studies. This time I have made a case study from that particular session only. You can see that section. You are the chief secretary of a state. Ethnically, the state is occupied by 3 main communities, in which 2 were granted ST status, other with OBC status. The leftover community is dominant in the state, comprising more than 50% of the state. and occupying major holds in legislative seats of the state and are settled in the valley area of the state. So they are describing, so in this case, they are describing about a state, how the state is, who is there in the state. So they were saying that there were three major communities. Lot of people, lot of group of peoples are there, but three major main communities were there. In the two were in the ST status and the other is in the OBC status. So this OBC status community occupying a dominant space, like almost 50% of the state legislative seats are held by this OBC community only. Okay, and are settled in the valley area. So they are in the valley area. That means there is a hill and valley in the same state. Okay, one of the tribal community constituting about 20% of the population is already in clash with this dominant community frequently. So the tribals, I already told, two tribal community granted the ST status. They are dominant in the state. Along with them, another dominant community is this OBC community, but they are dominant in every sphere, though they settle in the valleys, but tribals in the hill. On the other hand, they also occupies major seats from the legislative, state legislatures. So even the dominant community feels that even though they constitute 53% population, so see this OBC is occupying 53% in that state. ST, two dominant ST communities were there. In that one which is very dominant is having 20% population. So they are in clash. They are fighting, always fighting with one another. Confined to only 10% of the land in the valley. Even in the valley, they argue that they are getting squeezed because tribes people are buying land and settling there. So that the dominant OBC community says, who's living in the valley says, we are occupying only 10% of the valley. Other occupied with this ST community, we are not able to purchase land on the hill, but they were able to purchase land on the valley. So this is a fight which is going on, okay? Then, while being non-tribal, they can buy land in the hills because of the protection provided to the tribes people, the Article 371C of the Constitution. The dominant community further claims that in addition to the tribes people, many outsiders, including illegal migrants from Bangladesh and Myanmar and people from rest of the country, so are settling in their land. Okay, even you can write this as neighboring countries. So I did not correct neighboring countries, rest of the country settling in their land. They therefore argue that if the community has to preserve and save the ancestral land, tradition, culture, and language, they need the ST status. That is, the OBC community is claiming for ST status. The tribal communities, as evident, come to the tribal community. Tribal community, as evident, are opposed to the demand of the dominant community for ST status on the grounds that 40 of the 60 legislative seats were already occupied by them. So they further argue that dominant community language is included in the 8th schedule of the Constitution and they are educationally, socially and economically better off than the tribes people. Therefore, if ST status is bestowed upon them, they will not only corner all the government jobs and other benefits hitherto granted to the tribes by the constitution, but to grab land belonging to the tribes people as restrictions on purchasing land in the hills will not apply to them. Okay. And crack down on drug cultivation in the hills and eviction drives against illegal migrants because the tribal consider the migrants as their kins have attracted large scale protests as their kins. And this have attracted large scale in the tribal dominated districts. Okay. So the demand of separate land by the dominant tribe has also been long-standing. In this situation, the state high court sent directive to the state government to submit its recommendation on the inclusion of dominant community in the scheduled tribes list. Following this, tribal solidarity march, a peaceful protest organized by the Students' Union of Tribal Committee, opposing the directive by High Court in various places of the state has started. Okay. So now this is the case. Before going to the question, let us see what are the points, clear-cut points they are mentioned in this case. This is a big case study. So we are expecting these kind of questions also. And this is talking about a clash or a conflict which is happening between two different community. Okay, one is a OBC community, another is a tribal community. So the state consists of majority of the population is occupied by this OBC community and the other is the ST community. So we need to continuously fight against each other because The tribes community is claiming that all the jobs, all their positions are occupied by this OBC community. So already we are completely discriminated in the state. But the dominant community is complaining that although we are huge in population, we are only situated in the 10% of the valley. The valley area only we are living. We are not able to land in the hills. And even in this valley, we are only restricted to 10% of the valley. And the tribal people are able to come the valley, purchase the land, live here. But we are not able to go to the hill and purchase the land. Okay, one thing. Second thing is they are saying, not only this, even the from neighboring countries, lot of refugees are pouring inside, the migrants, and they are related to this tribal community people. So they have the support of the tribal community. They are also coming here. They are purchasing the land and they are settling here. So that is a different problem which is going on related to land. And the tribal community is saying that we want a separate state. We don't want to these people. But the state community, the dominant community, that's why this community we are saying is dominant community. They're saying that we will be completely squeezed away from this particular state. So we also want a tribal status. We also want tribal status. And related to this was the fight which was going with two people. Okay, so now even there was another issue called drug cultivation which is going on because it's a hill estate. Drug cultivation is taking place, and the eviction drives of migrants as well as the drug cultivation is really attracting protests along the tribal dominated areas because mainly these people who are living in the hills are doing this kind of activity. So now this situation, so lot of conflicts were continuously going on. Okay, there was completely strife which is going on inside the state. In this situation, the High Court of the particular state has recommended for inclusion of this particular OBC community in the tribal list, okay, scheduled tribes list. So they have recommended, they have sent a directive to the state government for inclusion of this OBC community into the ST category. So after the announcement after the direction given by the High Court, now a silent march, a peaceful protest has been organized by the tribal community people. Okay, the students' union of the tribal community people opposing the directive given by the High Court. So this is the case. It's like a story, right? But in the case, what are the issues? You can write issues highlighted in the above case. So how you have to start the cases. This case is completely issue-oriented case. The problem is happening between certain communities of a state. Now, who is going to solve this? Let us first see the questions, then we will start about the introduction and all. Then only we can give a introduction which is closely related to the question. As the Secretary of the State, see there is something missing, no? Steps you will follow to ensure that the march proceeds a peaceful protest. Okay, question number one. What steps you will follow to ensure that the march proceeds as a peaceful protest? Second, although if the protest turns to be violent, what steps should be taken to safeguard the law and order of the state? Okay, second. Can you suggest some long-term measures to eradicate these types of conflicts in the future by keeping the above mentioned issues in mind? Okay, above mentioned issues in mind. So these are the three questions. One, they are asking that how will you ensure that this march is taking place in a peaceful manner? Second, if it turns to be a violent protest, what are the steps you will take, okay, in order to safeguard the law and order situation of the state? So they are asking, can you suggest some long-term measures in order to eradicate these types of conflicts in the future? So this kind of questions often is appearing in your exams. As you can see, how you will start this question. How will you start this question? You can say that the above case study is completely describing about an issue, conflict, which is taking place between two different communities, which is residing in a particular state. Okay, so then what are the issues involved? Then you can mention number one, land dispute. Okay, and buying land in the hill, buying land in the valley, the dispute is going on. Second, claiming of ST status. by the dominant OBC community. That is second issue which is happening. Okay, third, drug issue. Often they will be doing drives, eviction drives will be happening. An illegal migrants issue also is taking place. You have to be clear when you are writing. The drug eviction and illegal migrants issue is already creating some chaos among the tribal population. They not like this. Okay, so third, you can mention that, right? Then. So these are some of the issues you have to mention. And come to the case. How will you address the first question? What steps you will follow to ensure the march, whether the march is proceeding as a peaceful protest? Or as chief secretary is responsible for a march which is going to take place in all over the state. The situation is that how you will organize a peaceful protest, whether you are eligible to conduct organize a rally or a protest in a peaceful manner. Are you able to do it? Yes, you are definitely able to do it as per the constitution itself. Every person has this right. You can march peacefully, okay, in order to claim your rights, in order to fight for your rights. You can do that, nobody will stop it. But what steps you have to follow? What are steps you'll be following? You have to take NOC from the nearby police station where you are going to start this march or the protest is taking place. If it is covering major area, then from that particular district, from the commissioner or the deputy commissioner, you will be taking the NOC certificate. No objection certificate has to be granted by the police official of that particular place. Nearby police station should grant it. So I don't know how many of you have organized it in your colleges. So you definitely know the steps. So, and in this case, I'll be explaining what are the steps which will be taking place. Okay, in this case, this is going to happen all over the state, and already a lot of conflicts, small conflicts is happening. Okay, if and very recently, High Court has given the directive. Based on that, only they are organizing this peaceful protest. So, what you cannot completely stop it. You cannot say nobody is having right to conduct peaceful protest. But from us, as a role you are performing, you can check it. You can keep sure whether everything is followed in the proper way. So you can just keep in touch with the other police officials, that the police departments, which is there in the particular state in various districts, whether every steps has been followed while granting the NOCs, because you know that this may turn to be a violent protest. So you have to keep sure. How NOC will be granted? I told you, like, you will be applying to the police officials or the police station, okay? So which is there in the particular places. If then how this will be granted, they'll be checking with every details which you're giving there, okay? Like why, what is the reason you're conducting it? What is your name? Who are the people who are going to involve in the protest along you? Your address proof, your residence address, no, resident proof, address proof, everything will be collected. ID proof, everything will be collected. Along with this, they will be asking how many, from where you're going to start, and how, what are the areas you're going to cover, and who are the people who are going to march with you. Okay, so what is the purpose you're doing it? What duration you will be doing it? So all should be clearly mentioned in the form. They will be giving a form when you go to a police station. You will collect this form. In the form, you have to mention all these details. Then they will analyze whether this is okay or not, whether we can grant it or not. And even for putting loudspeakers, okay, even tent you're putting, no, for that you have to take a permission with a separate form. There is a separate form for that. So now police official will grant the permission, right? So in that you can make sure whether there is some protesters, the militants also entering into that. Those who want to create violence or create a conflict inside the state is joining this peaceful protest. And that way you have to check the proof clearly. So you can give instructions to all the police stations that this has to be clearly checked when they are going to grant a permission. If not, you can hold the permission. A police official has every authority to uphold the permission to be granted for the peaceful protest. They have the right on the basis of 4 conditions of conditions. Just go and serve. What are those conditions? It might be definitely related to sovereignty, integrity, public morality, decency, all these. Under these conditions, they can, refuse the permission first hand, refuse the permission itself. So this has to be clearly and strictly followed. Again, you can arrange for So that's a first step you have to mention in this case. The first thing is that how the granting of permission is taking place, whether it's properly following, whether it's strictly following the rules and regulations while granting the permissions for the test. Secondary, you can arrange for additional forces. The rapid action force is there in the police department itself. Okay, so there is two wings in your police department. One will completely take off the law and order of the day-to-day issues. Another appear only in the case of emergency situation, when there is a war kind of situation, when there is a civil, protest and violence committed by mob, and the completely the law and order is affected the state, then this rapid action force, the police will appear in the scene. Okay, so they are responsible for controlling the crowd controlling mechanisms. They are given the training about the crowd controlling mechanisms and all. They will appear in the scene. So you can arrange, even though there is no violence which has happened, you can arrange for extra forces. Especially you can bring the rapid action force. You can stall them here and there. Wherever the protest is going to take place, you can stall them there. Extra forces. Okay. Third important thing is that drones can be involved, because maybe in India only there is in one state they have done it successfully. Also, drones can be utilized to watch activities which is going on. So because you cannot see with your directly with your eyes, but drones can fly everywhere. They can watch how they can the camera, they can take pictures and all, so they can completely survive, keep the area under surveillance using drone cameras. So this way, as a chief secretary, you can ensure, you can some steps. Even you can also add few more steps here to keep this, protest as a peaceful protest, to maintain it as a peaceful protest. The one important thing. First question. Come to the second question. Also, if the protest turns to be violent, what steps should be taken to safeguard the law and order of the state? So, if the protest is suddenly becoming violent, we already told that there is an issue which is going on. Now, there is a bigger direction which was given by High Court. Definitely, these people are angry and they have started the protest also. Suppose some people, some persons who are involving in the, taking place in the march, who are just joining the march, okay, can become an antisocial element. He can turn to be an antisocial element. He can just affect the peace in that particular place. He can start the violence. Okay, so there might be a possibility. So the protest itself will turn to be a violent protest. What and all you can do to stop, that such a violence? The first thing which comes into our mind is 144. Section 144 has to be imposed. Who will impose this? You have to impose it. So the executive, the magistrate or executive will do this. Of the particular, who is having a designation, executive or a magistrate will do it. Will have to impose section 144 in that, yeah. So you have to impose section 144 immediately. You have to do it. Then that means what? If section 144 is imposed, what is the meaning of that? That means no person can, do public gatherings. First important thing is no public gatherings is allowed, and all the important service sectors are closed, like schools you take, all those are closed in that area, particular area, it is closed. And no, people are not allowed to walk in the street casually. So this section 144 is simply a kind of curfew which we are giving to the public. So first you have to impose section 144. If you're imposing section 144, automatically this also get revoked. That you are giving permission for, granting permission for the protest is also revoked. You cannot do it. Okay. Then second thing is that apart from this, you can also try to maintain the law order, like, see this, deployment of security forces, more security forces. Now CRPF officials can join. We already talked about rapid action forces. Now law and order has been affected. So you can bring CRPF officials, BSFs, okay, rapid action forces. and even other border security forces like Assam Rifles. All these people can be brought here to secure the state. Okay, so deployment of more security forces can be done. Then use of crowd control weapons. This will be the third step. So now the crowd will be there gathered. They are quickly destroying the public property, also involving in violent activity, hurting the people. So what you can do? Use crowd control weapons. So what are crowd control weapons? What is crowd control weapons? See, you might read about in the newspaper the Turi incident or Thoothukudi issue. This rapid action force of this only has done a gunshot, started shooting towards the people. There also the same protest only happened. They were protesting against the company which is trying to pollute the environment. Okay, so there also they tried to control the mob. 100 days peaceful protest was continuously going on, but in the 100th day, what they did, they simply took a rifles. They started shooting against the people, own people, civilians itself. So that was completely questioned from the angle that how a police official who has to do law and order, who has to protect the law and order, who has to safeguard the people, is acting against the people. No, he's killing the people. What authority they are doing? Kind of questions has come. So how he can control the crowd? I hope you would have definitely seen this. These scenes and all in the movies and all often seeing. Even in the media, they are showing it, right? So what they are trying to do, first they will use the lathis. Anna. So the lathis and also trying to use the water batons. Okay, water batons. Even the stink bombs can be used. Bomb. They call this a stink bomb. What is stink bomb? They will be using some glass container filled with four gases or something like that. Then they will throw this to the in the places where there is no people. So it will break and the gas gets out, and this creates a kind of a smell which is unpleasant. I can say unpleasant smell will be spreading throughout the area, so people automatically will disperse from that area. So you can use stink bombs, tear gas. All these are some method of control instead of even pellet guns. Now they're talking about rubber pellet gun. All these kinds of things will try to control the crowd, right? Disperse the crowd. So if you have to impose section 144, if people are not obeying it, you have to bring the security force. You have to give order to the security forces that crowd control weapons how to use first initially to disperse people. There are people who are very rugged, who are going against the police official, who are trying to attack the police official. Then you can inform this. You can just assign a shooting order also. Sometimes this also happens because these people are not normal common man. They are not common man. Okay, so they are something kind of militant who just mingle with the people who are doing full protest. They try to involve in more violent activity. So you can just being strict with them, arrest them at the moment, and you see they are involving in this kind of activity and all. Now, that is why we are saying the strict action against perpetrators has to be taken. So, law and order has to be enforced very strictly. So, we are thinking only from this angle. When suppose a violence is happening, what is happening, how we can control the crowd, how we can stop them committing this violent crime and all. On the other hand, at the back of this, already violent movement has started. So people has already damaged the properties, has already hurted, killed many, or harmed many. So they need medical assistance. They need relief activity. Relief and rehabilitation have been done. Even this relief camps, rehabilitation camps will be conducted by the police officers as well as the army of peoples. Okay, so they will try to give rehabilitation for the people and even medical assistance where ambulances. That's why you have to be responsible for organizing this ambulance, everything wherever necessary. Then combing operations, that is search operations has to be conducted. Now what will be done? The military officials and the rapid action forces will enter into the areas. They will completely search everyone without any warrant. They will search. They will go. They feel that if there is some a person who is involving in this kind of violent activity is hide somewhere. They get the news and then they will take them. Okay, without anyone, they can arrest them. So that is called something called as combing operations can be conducted. Flag marches. What is flag marches? Taking flag in the hand, doing march or something like that. Flag marches means the important officials, okay, administrative officials, they will flag in the front of their cars, and that they will be driving. They will be moving no from here to there in the state. So whenever they are going, the vehicle will have a flag, and this thing called as flag marches. So this gives confidence to the people, the common. Okay, so their higher officials are here, and we will be protected. We are in safer hands. We will be safeguarded. Okay, that's called as flag marches. Then peace meetings should be conducted. So now what you have to do, already violence has started. So go for peace negotiations with people. Okay, so you have to start the peace talk among the. You have to take the communities, different community, no. So each representative from various community, bring them to in one table, have a peace meeting, right? Peace start should start. So these are some of the short-term measures we can say. Additionally with this, because see the question they're asking, can you suggest some long-term measures to eradicate these types of conflicts in the future by keeping above mentioned issues in mind? Okay, so that's something which is asked to you. In that case, what you can say that you can also add few points like this. See, this commission of inquiry can be conducted. So it's not only for inquiring about the issue which has happened. Okay, it's not inquiring about the issue which has done, which has been happened, but it's also related to stopping this issue in the near future, right? So that is why the commission of inquiry should be conducted, right? Like what you have to do, you have to form a committee which has to have the members like the ex officers, IAS officers, IPS officers. All these people has to be included in the committee, and that we call as inquiry committee. Now this committee will inquire about the situation, like how it has happened, how it has happened. Okay. Sorry, sorry for the disturbance. So how this has happened, this issue has, how it is started, what are the problems behind this, all this has to be verified properly, then only in the future this may not occur. Okay, so you have to form a committee in such a way that it has to study all the problems associated with the bursting of this violence which has happened, huh? So then drafting appropriate policies is again important. So not only inquiry commissions, based on the report given by this committee, you have to come out with certain back policies, है so back end policies like how you can resolve this conflict between the that is different communities related to the purchase of land, related to that, such policies has to be framed. Drug related, how you have to stop this menace of drug cultivation in the particular state. Migrants, illegal migrants coming inside the state. So based on that, the policies has to be added. New policies has to be drafted in such a way it satisfies these people, so that in the future they not involved in the fight. Right? Capacity build for the state armed forces to deal with the situations. Now. The capacity building should be there for the forces also. They doesn't know how to handle the situation, how to deal with this situation. So when a state police official is there entering, encountering these kind of situations, violent clash, mob clash, then they have to given certain practice, that they have to given certain training, that how they have to handle this, how they have to stall this, how they have to prevent in the near future. So they have, there should be some capacity, okay, related to this for the state armed forces. Then dialogue and discussion is very important. As we already told, peace talks. Now you are calling the different community, you are having a word with them, and you are trying to solve this issue. For that, we know a lot of terms are there also. Terminologies related to dialogues and discussion, persuasion, and even the social influence techniques you can bring here. You can connect to this question and then answer. Even we used in previous case study also when we were discussing about the related to the manual scavenging case, which we have already done in one of our session, the pre-session. There I used certain terminologies. So this is vacant for you. I'm not going to discuss again here. I'm not going to use all the terms which is then a theoretical part. I'm not going to bring it here. But I have given a sample for you. You can bring that like through social influence techniques and all. You will be studying already. Your teacher would have taught it. So you use it here. Even that the persuasion techniques. Okay, so a lot of techniques. This just a word only. Inside this we have similarly placed source. Okay, like that we have different liking and liking principle is there, credibility principle is there. Like that, I am giving few examples for you. You can connect that here, and then you can say you can have dialogue and discussion with the. If this is the one and only question, then you have to be elaborating it in this manner. Then strengthening the law and order further. Further, the law and order has to be strengthened. So you have to keep this kind of conflicts in check in near future, because this is purely it's related to the small drift which has been cast between two communities, and then it bursted out as a conflict. So you have to be very careful in the near future. There should be any issues which has to be piled up, or it should be completely hidden the blanket and say, oh, nothing is happening, everything is under control. So you have to take initiative, if, prior itself, the prior. Settle land disputes and increase employment opportunities. Okay, settle land disputes and increase the employment opportunities. This is another thing which you can do. Already we have said this land dispute. Employment opportunity. Now you're deviating the people. Okay, because mostly the youth who are unemployed or who are simply staying idle, so they always think they cannot simply sit. Anna, they have to do something. So they are just trying to create a gathering. They are trying to raise this issue. Talk that we have been depressed here like this. We have been discriminated, so we have to do something against the state. So they only try to involve in militant activities. So you are deviating them from that particular thinking. So attitude should be changed for those people through providing employment opportunity. When they have employment, when they have work to do, they don't have time to think about all things, right? So that's the best way to avoid this in the future. Campaigns also can be conducted related to abusing the drug abuses and issues related to drug. How would derogating the person's dignity and his personal dignity as well as his family dignity in the society, and how it is affecting the society also, behavior, everything. So that way you can get a campaign and even an ad drive, okay, using the help of media people. Okay, so media responsible media coverage should be brought in this case. Responsible media coverage, right? So that this way you have to answer this question. So this question is completely based on one single issue, and based and that from that I have derived multiple questions for you to answer. Right, now come to the next question. See this. Data about suicides in India are collected by the local police department when they file a first information report. The practice is continued even after the passing of Mental Health Care Act 2017 that decriminalized suicide attempts. It is to be notable that in the event of an economic crisis, a spike in suicide happens. The number of deaths by suicide among students saw an increase of 4.5% in 2021, being due to fear in examinations. Suicide, which accounts for the fourth leading cause of death among the youth, is an alarming issue in the country, mainly due to unemployment and drug abuse. The worst scenario is that the suicide rates among the salaried persons, daily wage earners, who were hit hard due to pandemic-induced economic hardships. And in these days, we have been seeing a lot of copycat suicides due to increased digital media exposure. Among the females who committed suicide, the highest number involved marriage related issues, especially the dowry related problems. And in terms of professions, homemakers constituted the highest number. The social issues, including gender inequality and dowry practices, continue to make marriages stressful to Indian women. Even deaths have been reported from high profile public servants who are committing suicides due to depression. Public officials who have been an exemplar to the society, themselves exhibiting a cowardized behavior in the public. Suggest some innovative measures to reduce the suicide rates by addressing the above said problems, which prompts the suicide rate. Okay, so this question is very simple, but there are multiple things which you have to note in this question. Multiple answers has to be framed. Issue is single, but multiple dimension of the issue. Such questions has already appeared in your UPSC exams. Often you can see these types of questions. If you hereafter, if you note it, you can find. So they will be taking one issue and they will be connecting. Sorry, they will be connecting multiple dimension or perspective to that particular issue. One same only I have done here. I have started with suicide. Suicide, because recently also there were a lot of issues which are happening related to suicide. Even a DIG of a particular state committed suicide. Okay, so it happened very recently only, and even a body which has been providing data, collecting data, no, related to suicide issues in India. So they have come out with a report after this pandemic era. The suicide rates also has increased. And who are the people which are the group of community or group of people who are committing these suicides? What is the reason they are doing it? That way they have come out with certain information. So this case is not related to a specific angle of action. They have just described. I already told you sometimes in UPSC they will be asking the issue which is happening in the society, which is prevailing in the society. As such, they will take from the newspaper content. They will give it, or they will describe administrative issues which is happening in our India thing, or even an international issue which is happening there in the global scenario. That way they will give like a news print. Okay, so it's like a news, like reading a newspaper, you have a particular case directly. Okay, so like that only this case has been given to you. So from this case, now the question is very single, straightforward question. So I will just describe, I will just first read this. I'll ask, make you to note the respected points. And this question is for you to discuss at home, right? Answers. So I'll give some clues also. You can draft your own answer for this question. If time permits, I will explain it, elaborate it completely. If not, I'll leave it to you. And in the next session, we also will be discussing that. Okay. See this. Right. So, what is this question about? This question is describing, the question is talking about suicide rates, which is keep on increasing in India. And what are the reasons for the suicides which is happening? So, as you can see that due to pandemic era, so you have to take and write facts only is important in this question. So, the above question, how you have to start this answer for this question, you have to start like in the introduction part. The above question is discussing about a very important social issue which is prevalent in the society, where like put a hyphen and write suicide. Okay, so it's not only a social issue, it's also a medical issue. As from the other angle, if I see, it's completely a medical issue also. So this, you can say that like that you have to begin. The reasons which are described above case for the suicides, for the continuing suicides in the country are, put R and then colon, then number one you write, take and write from the above case. So the see, as you can see that economic crisis is one reasons. Because of this, the suicides is keep on increasing. The number of death among the students also is so economic crisis you can put, especially in this economic crisis, I think it is described below, so you can also use it here. Okay, I think it is not here, no, so just write due to economic crisis also peoples are committing suicides. Now second thing is that students are a majority in the majority group, students also occupies. And here, among the student community, the increase in the suicide rate has been noticed. What is the reason? Due to failure exam. And suicide, which accounts for fourth leading cause among youth. So now third point, youth. You have to put youth and put a hyphen. Mainly due to unemployment and drug abuse. These are the two reasons they are committing suicide: unemployment and drug abuse. Third, the worst scenario is that suicide rates among the salaried persons and daily wage earner. And this is pandemic induced economic hardships. So you can mention that like the fourth one, the pandemic induced economic hardships. Even the first point, you can just leave it. But when you're discussing about each and every group, first students group, second youth group, third is the salaried persons as a daily wage earners. So they were not earning a lot. Every day they will go to a job. They may be in an informal sector. They will earn something for the family. A salaried, the person who's taking a salary, they are in the low skill jobs also sometimes. Monthly getting a salary. They are helping the family in that manner. These people are worst hit during the pandemic related economic problems. So pandemic induced economic hardships, put a hyphen and write salary person and daily wage earners has been affected. And even the fourth one you can mention as copycat suicides. How? What is the reason? Put a hyphen and write digital media exposures. Okay, digital media exposures. Fifth, females who are committing suicides. What's the reason? Put a hyphen and write especially the marriage related issues. In the bracket you can mention dowry. Okay. Then again, yes, high profile public servants. Even high profile public servants are committing suicides. What's the reason? Put hyphen depression. So now you have the data in your hand. You have to address each and everything when you're writing a solution or innovation to stop these kind of problem which is prevailing in the society, which is completely continuously happening. Okay, it has not stopped, it has been increased, right? So how will you address the question now? How you are going to suggest some innovative measures? First, how to generally give a general measures related to this particular question. How you will prevent suicides? How you can prevent? So in that case, you can say that suicide can be controlled, can be checked. Okay, through various methods, through various ways, you can check the suicide rates. Like general thing is that generally, first you have to write generally, so you can write awareness campaigns has to be conducted. Awareness campaigns. I think there is space we can utilize it. First is awareness campaign. This is not only for the people who are depressed, who are about to commit a suicide, but to everyone in the society. You are addressing everyone in the society. You are educating them. Okay, so it's like a education. You are creating an awareness to the people that okay, this if you're noticing somebody, some of your loved ones or your closed ones who are very much depressed, who are in anxiety, not able to perform the proper way, so then. Yes, Subham, very good. So he is trying to answer. Yeah, yeah, Prashant, not many students, not many students. I'm not saying that all students will do this. Okay, so this like this is generally case, no? So it's already taken from a newspaper. In the newspaper, it is given like mostly the students are trying to involve in this kind of. They're the second most people who are committing suicides. Very good. Um, yes, very good, Subham. Discussing the problems with mentor. So, you are doing capacity building also. So, not only awareness to be generated to the public, to the society, and to the educational institutions, capacity building has to be done. So, how will you do capacity building? You organize certain, coachings for them. 2 hour coachings are there, 1 hour coaching is there. So where they will try to educate the people how they have to respond when they are seeing somebody who is in depression, how they have to quickly respond to them, how they have to study the science of that, and then what steps they have to take after that. Okay, so that way you create capacity building for the community. Third is that third important thing is that you have to publicize some helplines. Okay, so generally all people know immediately they will not take a poison bottle, drink it, then they will die. Or they will not hang themselves from the rope and they will die. They will not die immediately. Okay, so that they definitely will look for certain people to talk, to share their problems. Okay, so they most of all, why these people are trying to commit suicide, they doesn't have a way out. They doesn't know whom to share with, how to share their problems. So what they try to do, they try to just uh, can, since there is nobody to listen, in some cases, since there is nobody to share, since they are afraid to share, because they are known people, they don't know how they will share the problem with the close ones. Okay, so in that case the helplines will do. Yes. Yes, very good, Shubham. So this and all is a way that you can do it. So the helpline numbers can be publicized so that you can approach. Many of us doesn't know. There are certain helplines like this. They come help us when we are in need. You can just go and contact them. So in that case, you can publicize this to the people. They are feeling that something is troubling them. Then they can approach this people, approach this particular helpline, so they will talk. There will be a person who will communicate with you. Okay, you can share your problem with them. Yes, so this way, these are the general steps you can take. Now come to the question. The question you are going to try it home, as when Subham is giving answers now itself. As you can see this, I have already asked you to write the step. What are the community which are involving in suicides, which are committing suicides? So now you have to draw a diagram like this. You have to put like this. Okay, you can put a table, like a table also you can organize answer. You can just write first the students who are committing the suicide, then put an high, then you can give some suggestions, number one, number two, number three. Don't write around 7 10 suggestions for one person. You have around, I think, six communities which you have to address. Then you can write about the unemployment problems, because of unemployment. So you can write how you address this. Number one, to the youth who are committing suicide. So you can write students, you can failure in examination. Then you have to give some suggestions how you can overcome this, how you can stop this kind of suicides, because in India nowadays these kind of suicides is keep on increasing. So how you can stop that? Yeah, tree diagram, Shubham. You can use a tree diagram, you can use a table, it's up to you. Then or you can also draw different, you can also make a different flow chart kind of things also. Then you can write like this, you have to continue. Then you come out with the workers, the daily wages, all these who are the informal sector who does not have proper security in the jobs. Some suggestion you can provide for them. Then fourth, you also mention about the female, what type of problems they are facing, especially women, the makers. These are the people completely affected. No, for them you can give some 3 to 4 suggestions, you can say. And last, you can mention about the public servants and civil servants, especially civil servants are committing suicide, public officials. You can give 2 3 statements related to that, how you have to face the adverse situations, stress, when they are in stress, how they have to overcome the stress, how they have to stop this type of come out of from their depressions. So what type of training you can give to them, how they can be, these types of things can be rectified in the near future. So many often we are hearing these news. This public official has committed suicide, police official who has committed suicide, like this. Okay, so this way you have to give the suggestions. So with this we will conclude this today. Yes, there's no more doubt, right? So you have to work out this case in the home and then come out with the answers, right? Yes, students. So we'll meet again in the I think maybe another one day, on the next Saturday. This Saturday we will be meeting again for the question discussion, okay, with respect to the other chapters, right? So thank you all. Have a good night and have a great weekend also. I hope another one day is there. So have a great day tomorrow. We'll meet again on Saturday and we'll discuss some questions in the next.